Welcome to Read and Learn English, your listening and reading practice. In this story, you will not only practice English, but also learn something important about your life and your heart. Each word will help you grow, in language and in wisdom. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and listen carefully. Have you ever looked into a mirror that was dirty? When a mirror is covered with dust, you cannot see your face clearly. You wipe it once, but still, the marks remain. You clean it again, and little by little, your reflection appears. Now, imagine that your heart is like that mirror. Every time you feel anger, jealousy, or regret, a little bit of dust stays on it. When there is too much dust, you cannot see your true self. Many people wake up each day and say, "I want success, I want to be happy." They study hard, work long hours, and try to move forward. But even with all their effort, they still feel lost, tired, and sad. They think success will make them happy, but their heart is not ready for success. Their mirror is dirty, and so they cannot see the right direction. A heart full of anger is like a heavy bag you carry every day. You try to walk fast, but the weight slows you down. A heart full of jealousy is like a dark cloud that blocks the sunlight. You cannot see the beauty of your own path because you keep looking at someone else's. A heart full of regret is like an old song that never stops playing. It repeats the same pain again and again. When your heart is dirty, your mind becomes confused. You don't know what is right or wrong anymore. You feel tired even when you do your best. You smile, but deep inside, you feel empty. You keep working harder, but the joy disappears. It's like cleaning the window of your house, but never cleaning the inside. The world outside looks bright, but inside, everything feels gray. Now think about a clean heart. A clean heart is light. It is soft but strong. It forgives easily. It lets go of anger. It says, "I will not hold hate anymore." It feels thankful for small things. A new morning, a friend's smile, a meal with family. A clean heart does not compare. It celebrates others and still believes in itself. When your heart is clean, your mind is clear. You see the road ahead with peace and confidence. Success is not only about what you do, it is also about who you are inside. Many people clean their clothes, their room, and their phone every day, but they forget to clean their heart. They polish the outside and forget the inside. That is why so many people work hard but feel unhappy. Real success begins in a quiet, peaceful heart. This story will help you understand that before you run toward your dreams, you must stop and look inside. Ask yourself, is my heart clean, or is it full of dust? Because a heart full of anger cannot see love, a heart full of jealousy cannot feel joy, and a heart full of regret cannot find peace. As you listen and read, think of your own life. Maybe you have felt jealous of someone who has more than you. Maybe you are angry at someone who hurt you long ago. Or maybe you still carry guilt or sadness from something in the past. These are the little pieces of dust that hide your light. But remember, no heart stays dirty forever. Every heart can be cleaned, gently, with patience, forgiveness, and love. Learning English is also like cleaning a mirror. At first, the words feel hard. You cannot see your progress. But if you keep listening, keep reading, and keep practicing, one day everything becomes clear. You begin to see your reflection in the language, strong, bright, and beautiful. In this English story, you will meet a young man named Aung Min. He is from a small town in Myanmar. His dreams are big, his spirit is strong, and his heart is kind. But like many of us, he doesn't know that his heart is full of dust. He believes success is about working harder and faster. He doesn't understand that success first grows inside the heart. You will follow Aung Min's journey, from confusion to clarity, from jealousy to gratitude, from fear to peace. His story will help you learn simple English words, easy grammar, and deep life lessons. As you listen, repeat the sentences in your mind. Feel their meaning, not just their sound. Each line will help you grow, both in English and in strength. So, take this story slowly. Listen with your heart as much as with your ears. Remember, this is more than English practice. This is life practice. Every sentence is like a small step to clean your mirror, to clear your heart, and to find your true self again. Now, our story begins. Let's meet Aung Min, the young dreamer from a small town. He works hard, studies every day, and dreams of success. But inside, something is missing. His mirror is full of dust, and he doesn't even see it yet. Let's listen to his story and discover what happens when the heart begins to learn. The young dreamer. Aung Min was a young man from a quiet town in Myanmar. His world was small, but his dreams were big. Every morning he walked down the dusty road to school with hope in his eyes. He carried a second-hand bag and a notebook full of dreams. He told himself, "One day I will be successful. One day I will change my life." Those words gave him energy every single day. He worked harder than most people around him. He studied late at night while others slept. When his friends played football, he read English books under the dim light of a small lamp. When his family rested, he practiced writing new words in his notebook. He believed that if he worked more, he would become great. His parents were proud, and his teachers often said, "Aung Min, you will go far." These words made him happy for a while, but slowly, something began to change. As he grew older, he started to look around more. He noticed other people, not just their faces, but their lives. His classmate Ko Zaw always got higher marks. His neighbor Hlah Tun had a new motorbike. A girl named May Thazin spoke perfect English and was praised by everyone. Aung Min felt something heavy inside. At first, he did not know what it was. It was not sadness, but it was not peace either. He smiled when his friends succeeded, but inside, a quiet voice whispered, "Why not me?" That voice started small, but it grew louder every day. He began to compare everything, his grades, his clothes, his phone, even his smile. The more he compared, the less happy he felt. One night, while studying, Aung Min looked at his notebook and sighed. "I study so hard," he thought, "but still, I am not the best. Maybe I am not smart enough." He pushed himself harder, sleeping less, reading more. His eyes were tired, his mind full, but his heart empty. Even when he achieved something small, it did not make him happy for long. When he got good marks, he felt proud for a moment, but then he saw someone who did better. When he bought new shoes, he smiled for a day, but soon they looked old. His heart was never satisfied. It wanted more and more. Aung Min did not see that his heart was slowly filling with dust. Dust from jealousy, dust from anger, dust from fear. He thought success lived outside of him, so he kept chasing it. But the more he ran, the more tired he became. He started to lose his joy. He stopped laughing easily. When he walked to school, He no longer looked at the sunrise or the trees. He walked fast, eyes down, always thinking about what he did not have. Even his friends began to notice. One day, Koza said, "Aung Min, you look tired. Are you okay?" Aung Min smiled weakly and said, "I'm fine. Just busy." But inside, he was not fine at all. At home, his mother asked, "Why don't you eat much these days?" He said, "I'm not hungry." She touched his shoulder and said softly, "My son, you work too hard. Don't forget to rest." But Aung Min thought rest was for lazy people. He believed that only those who worked without stopping would win. Still, the more he worked, the more lost he felt. He tried to find peace in results, but peace never came. He started to think maybe success was not real, maybe it was only for lucky people. He whispered to himself at night, "Why is my life so hard?" One afternoon, Aung Min went to the tea shop after school. He sat alone, stirring his tea without drinking it. His thoughts were heavy. The sound of laughter from other tables made him feel even lonelier. He looked at his reflection in the cup of tea. His face looked tired and unclear. He thought, "Maybe my heart is like this tea, not clear anymore." As he sat there, an old man walked in. It was U Than, a retired teacher who often came to read the newspaper. Everyone respected him because he was kind and wise. He noticed Aung Min sitting quietly and smiled. "Aung Min, my son, you look serious today. Is something wrong?" Aung Min tried to smile. "I'm fine, sir. I'm just thinking about my future. I study every day, but still, I feel like I am walking in the dark." Uthan nodded slowly. Walking in the dark," he said. "Maybe you need some light." Aung Min looked at him curiously. "Light?" "Yes," said Uthan, smiling. "You work very hard, but your heart looks tired. You clean your books, your clothes, your desk, but have you cleaned your heart?" Aung Min was surprised. He laughed a little. "Clean my heart? How can I clean something I cannot see?" The old man chuckled softly. "Ah, that is why you are confused. You can feel your heart, even if you cannot see it. When it is clean, you feel calm. When it is dirty, you feel heavy. You carry anger, jealousy, and sadness inside, and it makes your steps slow." Aung Min frowned. He didn't know what to say. The words, "clean your heart," sounded strange, but beautiful. He looked down at his cup again and saw his reflection in the tea. It was still unclear. The old man continued, "You see, my son, people think success means working harder, but sometimes success means stopping for a moment and cleaning the heart. If your heart is dirty, you can never see your real self. Before you chase success, you must clean your heart." The tea between them grew cold, but the words stayed warm inside Aung Min's mind. He didn't understand everything, but he felt something change. That night, when he went home, Aung Min couldn't sleep. He lay on his bed and thought about the old man's words. "Clean your heart," he whispered softly. "Maybe that is what I need to do." He closed his eyes and imagined a mirror covered in dust. Then he imagined wiping it slowly until it shone again. For the first time in a long time, his heart felt light. The next morning, he woke up with a quiet smile. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing. He wanted to see Yuthan again. He wanted to understand what it truly meant to clean the heart before chasing success. And that was the moment his real journey began. The question that changed everything. The next afternoon, Aung Min returned to the same tea shop. He was nervous but curious. He hoped to see Yu Than, the old man who had spoken to him the day before. When he arrived, the tea shop was full of people, but Yu Than was sitting in the same corner, reading his newspaper with his round glasses. Aung Min walked slowly to the table and smiled shyly. "Mingalaba, sir," he said. "May I sit with you?" Yu Than looked up and smiled warmly. "Of course, my son. Sit down. You came back so soon. Your tea must have been strong yesterday." Aung Min laughed softly. "Not the tea, sir. Your words." He looked down, playing with the edge of his notebook. "I was thinking all night about what you said. You told me to clean my heart. I want to understand. What does that really mean?" Yu then closed his newspaper carefully and placed it on the table. He looked at Aung Min with kind eyes. "Tell me, Aung Min," he said gently, "what do you think a clean heart means?" Aung Min thought for a moment. "Maybe it means being good to others, not doing bad things." The old man nodded. "That is part of it. But a clean heart is not only about what you do. It is about what you carry inside. It is about how you feel and how you think. Many people do good things, but their heart is still full of anger, jealousy, and pain. They smile outside, but inside, they fight with themselves every day." Aung Min listened carefully. The words were simple, yet deep. "But, sir," he said slowly, "if someone hurts me, how can I stop feeling angry? Isn't it normal to feel that way?" "Yes," said Yu Than softly. "It is normal. But if you hold that anger too long, it becomes poison. You drink the poison and expect another person to fall. That is why your heart feels heavy. You are trying to run fast while carrying a bag full of stones." Aung Min lowered his eyes. He remembered moments when he felt jealous of his friends, angry at his teachers, and even disappointed in himself. He had kept those feelings hidden, but they were still there, small, sharp pieces inside his heart. Yu then continued, "You work very hard, my son. You run, you study, you compete. But peace and success do not come from competition. They come from inside. A calm heart can see clearly. A dirty heart cannot see at all." Aung Min looked confused. "So you mean I don't need to work hard anymore?" The old man chuckled kindly. No, you must still work hard. But work with peace, not pressure. Work with love, not jealousy. Success that comes from a calm heart is true success. When your heart is clean, you don't fight others, you grow with them. Aung Min leaned forward. "But how can I clean my heart? I can clean my hands, my clothes, my books. But my heart? I don't know where to start." Yu then smiled. "Start small. Clean one corner first. The heart is big, but you can begin with one thing. Forgiveness." Aung Min repeated the word quietly. "Forgiveness." "Yes," said the old man. "Forgive those who hurt you. Forgive those who ignored you. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. When you forgive, you release the heavy stones you carry inside. You make space for peace." Aung Min looked down, silent for a long moment. "It sounds hard," he whispered. "Some people hurt me so deeply. How can I just let it go?" Yu then nodded. "It is not easy. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let pain control you anymore. You can remember what happened, but without hate. Forgiveness is not for them. It is for you." The tea shop grew quiet. The afternoon sun fell across the table, warm and golden. Aung Min felt something move inside him. Not comfort, not sadness, but understanding. He looked at the old man again. So, cleaning my heart means freeing myself? Yes, said Uthan. You free your heart from the weight of bad feelings. Then you can see clearly what truly matters. Only then will success feel real. Aung Min thought about all the things he had done, studying late, working hard, comparing himself with others. He realized that he had been chasing something outside, but losing himself inside. He had been running with dust in his heart. He took a deep breath. Sir, I think I understand now. My heart is full of dust because I keep anger and jealousy inside. I want to clean it. But where do I begin? Uthan's eyes softened. Begin with one person, he said gently. Think of someone you have not forgiven. Close your eyes, remember their face, and say in your heart, I forgive you. You may not feel it at first, but say it anyway. The words will slowly wash away the pain. Aung Min listened closely. He felt afraid, but also hopeful. And after that? He asked. After that, said Uthan, you will start to feel light, then clean another corner, another pain, another memory. Slowly your heart will shine again. You cannot clean the whole house in one day, my son, but you can clean one room at a time. Aung Min smiled for the first time in many days. He felt something small and bright inside him, like a candle in a dark room. It was hope. He looked at the old man and said quietly, Thank you, Uthan. I think I have been fighting too hard with the world. Maybe I need to make peace with myself first. U then nodded. Yes, Aung Min, the world outside is a mirror. It shows what lives in your heart. Clean your heart, and the world will look beautiful again. The sound of the street drifted into the tea shop. Motorbikes passing, people talking, the clinking of cups. But for Aung Min, everything felt new. The same sounds now felt soft, gentle, almost musical. He finished his tea slowly. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink. He stood up, bowed slightly, and said, I will start today, sir. I will try to forgive. I will clean my heart. Uden smiled. Good. Remember, my son, even one small act of forgiveness can change your whole life. As Aung Min walked home that evening, the air felt fresh, the road brighter. He thought about the people who had hurt him, his teacher who scolded him unfairly, his friend who once betrayed his trust. The memories still hurt, but now they felt softer, lighter. That night, before sleeping, he sat quietly by his window and whispered, I forgive you. He said it once, then again, slowly and calmly. For the first time, he felt peace beginning to grow, like a seed deep in the soil of his heart. And that was the first step. One corner of his heart was clean. The journey had truly begun. Forgiveness, the first cleaning. Aung Min woke up early the next morning. The sun was soft, and the birds outside sang their calm morning song. But inside his heart, he still felt a small storm. The words of U Then kept repeating in his mind like a quiet echo. Forgive those who hurt you. Clean one corner of your heart. He sat on the edge of his bed and looked at his hands. They were strong from work, but his heart felt weak. He whispered to himself, maybe I can try. Maybe I can forgive someone today. It sounded simple when U Then said it, but now it felt hard. Who should he forgive first? He closed his eyes and tried to remember the faces that still lived in his heart, the ones that made him angry or sad. Slowly, the first face appeared. It was his old school teacher, Yu So, the one who shouted at him in front of the class. Aung Min was only 13 then. He had forgotten his homework one day, and the teacher scolded him harshly. The whole class laughed. That moment had stayed with him for years. He could still hear the laughter, still feel the shame. He thought, why should I forgive him? He made me feel so small. His hands tightened into fists. But then he remembered U Tan's voice. If you hold anger too long, it becomes poison. Aung Min took a deep breath. He imagined U So standing in front of him, not as an angry teacher, but as an old man who had made a mistake. He whispered softly, Sir, I forgive you. Maybe you were tired that day. Maybe you didn't know your words hurt me. I forgive you. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, he felt something strange, a quiet peace, like air moving through an open window. The memory didn't disappear, but it lost its power. It no longer hurt. Next, another face came to his mind. His friend, Ko Za. They had been close once. They studied together, shared lunch, and helped each other. But one day, Ko Za had told others that Aung Min cheated on a test, which wasn't true. Everyone had laughed at him, and since then, he stopped trusting easily. That wound was deep. Even now, when Aung Min thought of it, he felt anger rising again. He closed his eyes tighter. Why should I forgive him? He lied about me. He hurt my name. His heart started beating faster. Then again, he remembered, forgiveness is not for them. It is for you. He took another deep breath and said, Ko Za, I forgive you. Maybe you were jealous. Maybe you were afraid. I don't know why you did it, but I don't want to carry this anymore. When he said those words, his chest felt lighter. It was like putting down a heavy stone he had carried for years. He realized he had used so much energy thinking about the past, but that energy never helped him grow. It only kept him tired. One by one, more faces came. His uncle, who once said, Aung Min will never be successful. His neighbor, who laughed when he failed an exam. Even May Thazan, the girl he liked, who once ignored him when he tried to speak. Each memory came like a small storm, but each time he whispered, I forgive you, the storm became a soft rain and then passed. He realized something powerful. Anger burns energy, but forgiveness creates energy. When he forgave, he didn't lose anything. He gained space inside himself, space for peace, for joy, for new dreams. That evening, he went for a walk by the river. The air was cool, and the light of sunset painted the sky gold and pink. The water was calm, and for the first time in a long time, so was his heart. He watched the river flow and thought, the water never stops. It doesn't keep the leaves that fall in it. It just moves on. He smiled. Maybe I should be like the river, let go and keep moving. He sat on a rock and closed his eyes again. He whispered to himself, I forgive all who hurt me. I forgive myself too. This time tears filled his eyes, not from pain, but from release. He realized he had also been angry with himself for not being perfect, for not being fast enough, smart enough, or brave enough. He had carried that anger for years. When he forgave himself, his tears fell softly, like rain washing away dust from a mirror. And in that moment, he felt something he hadn't felt for a long time: lightness. His heart didn't feel full of sharp stones anymore. It felt open, like a door that had been closed for too long. That night, Aung Min slept deeply. His dreams were calm. He didn't see exams or competition. He saw open fields, a clear river, and sunlight. When he woke the next morning, his first thought was simple. Thank you. He walked to school slowly, not rushing like before. The air smelled fresh, and the trees looked greener. Even the same road looked different. When he greeted people, his voice was soft and real. He smiled, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Something inside him had changed. At school, he saw Kozaw in the distance. The old anger tried to rise again, but then he remembered his decision. He smiled gently and waved. Kozaw looked surprised, but smiled back. In that small moment, something healed between them. Later that day, he met U Than again at the tea shop. The old man was reading as usual. Aung Min bowed respectfully and said, "Sir, I did what you said. I tried to forgive." U Than looked up and smiled. "Ah, good. And how does your heart feel now?" "Lighter," said Aung Min. "Like I dropped something heavy. I didn't know forgiveness could change so much." The old man nodded. "Yes, my son. Forgiveness is the first cleaning. You cannot build peace on top of anger. You must clear the space first. Only then can good things grow." Aung Min nodded thoughtfully. "I understand now. But sir," he paused, his eyes thoughtful. "Even though I forgave, I still feel something else inside. When I see people doing better than me, I still feel small. I still feel jealous sometimes." Yu then smiled kindly. "Ah, jealousy. That is another kind of dust. It hides quietly in the heart, even after forgiveness. You have cleaned one corner of your heart, but there are others waiting. Forgiveness makes space, but gratitude fills it. That will be your next lesson." Aung Min listened carefully. He realized this journey was not just about one act, but about many small steps. Each day he could clean another part of his heart. As he walked home again, the sky was full of stars. He looked up and whispered, "Thank you, U Than. I will keep cleaning, little by little." His heart was no longer heavy with anger. It was light, open, and ready for something new. But deep inside, he knew U Than was right. Another kind of dust was still there. Jealousy was waiting, quiet but strong. He took a deep breath and said to himself, "Tomorrow, I will start again. I cleaned my anger today. Tomorrow, I will clean my jealousy." And so the next step of his journey was waiting, the hidden dust he had yet to see. Jealousy, the hidden dust. The next morning, Aung Min walked to school feeling lighter. The air was fresh, and his heart was calm. Forgiving others had cleaned part of his heart. But as the days passed, he began to notice something still hiding deep inside. It was smaller than anger, but sharper. It was jealousy, quiet, secret, and painful. One day, during class, the teacher asked a question. Before Aung Min could raise his hand, May Thazin answered it perfectly in English. The whole class clapped. The teacher smiled and said, "Well done, May Thazin. You speak very clearly." Aung Min smiled too, but his chest tightened. Inside, a quiet voice whispered, "She is better than you." He looked down at his notebook, pretending to write, but the words in his head were louder than the teacher's voice. "She speaks better English. She is smarter. Everyone likes her." He hated that voice, but it followed him everywhere. When Kozaw got a new phone, the voice said, "You are still using an old one." When a friend won a small prize, the voice said, "You will never win anything." It was like a shadow that never left his side. That evening, he sat again with U Than at the tea shop. The old man looked at him and smiled gently. "You look better these days, my son, but your eyes still carry a question. What troubles you now?" Aung Min hesitated, then said quietly, Sir, I forgave everyone who hurt me. My heart feels lighter. But still, when I see others do better than me, I feel jealous. Even when I try to smile, my heart feels small. You then nodded slowly. Ah, yes. Jealousy, the hidden dust. It hides behind smiles, but it lives in many hearts. Aung Min looked confused. But sir, I don't want to feel jealous. It just happens. How can I stop it? The old man smiled. You cannot fight jealousy by force. If you try to push it away, it hides and grows again. Instead, you must fill your heart with something stronger. Gratitude. Gratitude? Aung Min repeated. Yes, said U Than. Jealousy looks at what you don't have. Gratitude looks at what you already have. Jealousy says, why not me? Gratitude says, thank you for what is mine. When your heart is full of thanks, there is no room left for jealousy. Aung Min listened carefully. The idea felt simple but powerful. So how do I fill my heart with gratitude, sir? Start small, said the old man. Every morning, write 3 things you are thankful for. They can be big or small. Your family, the food you eat, the sun in the sky, or the chance to learn. When you write them, don't just write with your hand. Feel them with your heart. Aung Min nodded. He decided to try. That night he opened his notebook, the same one where he wrote English words, and on a clean page, he wrote at the top, 3 things I am thankful for. He thought for a moment, then slowly wrote, 1. My parents who love me. 2. My teacher who helps me learn. 3. The chance to study English. He read the words out loud, softly, like a prayer. For the first time, he noticed how lucky he truly was. His parents worked hard for him. His teacher believed in him. He had the chance to learn, something many children did not. The next morning, he felt different. The same sun shone, but it looked brighter. The same road stretched before him, but it looked new. Every day after that, he continued his gratitude list. Some days he wrote about the smell of rain, or a kind smile from his mother, or a quiet evening breeze. Other days he wrote about challenges, a difficult test, a tired morning, and still he found something to be thankful for. Slowly, something changed inside him. When he saw May Thazin answer a question, he didn't feel the same sting. Instead, he thought, she is good at English. I can learn from her. When Ko Zaw showed his new phone, Aung Min smiled and said, that's nice. I'm happy for you. Jealousy began to fade, like dust lifted by the wind. Gratitude filled the space it left behind. He started noticing the small beauties around him, a child's laughter, the sound of monks chanting at dawn, the golden light of sunset on the pagoda. One evening, while writing in his notebook, Aung Min paused and looked at the page. The list had grown long, more than 100 small blessings. He smiled and thought, my life may be simple, but it is full. That night, he saw U Than again and told him everything. Sir, I do what you said. I write what I'm thankful for every day. At first it felt strange, but now it feels like magic. The more I say thank you, the happier I feel. U Than's eyes shone with pride. That is how gratitude works, my son. It changes how you see the world. Before, your heart was full of comparison, so you saw only what you lacked. Now your heart is full of thanks, so you see the beauty that was always there. Aung Min nodded. It's true. The world hasn't changed, but I have. I don't feel jealous anymore. I feel calm. The old man smiled. Jealousy is like a shadow. It disappears when the light of gratitude shines. Remember this, Aung Min. Peace does not come when you get everything you want. It comes when you are thankful for everything you have. The tea shop grew quiet for a moment. The air smelled of tea leaves and rain. Aung Min took a deep breath. His heart felt open and light again. On his way home that evening, he passed the market. He saw a man selling flowers, red, yellow, and white. They were not perfect, but they were beautiful in their own way. He thought, flowers don't compare themselves. The red one does not wish to be yellow. They just bloom. He smiled. Maybe I can be like them, happy to bloom in my own way. That night, before sleeping, he added one more sentence to his notebook. I am thankful for who I am becoming. The words were simple, but they carried great power. Gratitude had taught him to stop fighting with the world. He no longer felt smaller than others. His heart was quiet, steady, and kind. Still, as he closed his notebook, a new thought came to him. If gratitude makes me feel peace inside, he wondered, what would happen if I shared that peace with others? He realized that gratitude had opened his heart. But now that his heart was open, he wanted to give something back. He wanted to help others feel the same peace he had found. And so, the next step on his journey was waiting, to learn the power of kindness and how giving light can make your own light grow brighter. Kindness and gratitude, the gentle cleaners. Aung Min's heart had grown softer since he started practicing gratitude. Every day he found new things to be thankful for: his parents' laughter, the smell of tea in the morning, the chance to learn. Gratitude had cleaned away jealousy, but it also did something more. It opened a quiet door inside him, a door to kindness. He began to notice people more. He saw an old woman struggling to carry her basket at the market. Without thinking, he walked over and said, "Let me help you, Auntie." She smiled and said, "Thank you, son." Her smile was small but warm, like sunlight on a cold day. Aung Min carried the basket to her trishaw and felt something new. Not pride, not reward, but peace. Later that week, he passed by a group of children playing near the school gate. One boy sat apart, holding a torn English book. Aung Min knelt beside him and asked, "What are you reading?" The boy looked shy. "I want to read English, Ko Aung Min, but I don't understand these words." Aung Min took the book and smiled. "Let's read together." Slowly they went through each word, one by one. The boy repeated after him, his voice soft but full of effort. When they finished, the boy's face shone with pride. "Thank you, Ko Aung Min," he said. As Aung Min walked away, he realized his heart was smiling too. That night, he wrote in his gratitude notebook, "I am thankful for the chance to help someone learn." He started to understand what U Thant meant when he said, "Every act of kindness cleans your heart more than 100 words." In the following days, Aung Min continued to practice kindness wherever he went. He helped his mother with cooking without waiting to be asked. He shared his lunch with a classmate who forgot his. He even gave his seat on the bus to an older man who looked tired. Each time he felt lighter. He began to notice something. The more kindness he gave, the more joy he received. It was not loud joy, not excitement or fame. It was quiet and deep, like water flowing gently underground. Before, when Aung Min worked hard, he often thought, "What will I get?" Now he thought, "What can I give?" That one change made everything different. He understood that selfishness makes people lonely, But kindness makes people connected. When you live only for yourself, your heart becomes small. But when you care for others, your heart grows large enough to hold peace. One afternoon, he sat again with Yuthan at the tea shop. The old man sipped his tea and smiled. "You look different these days, Aung Min. There is a light in your face." Aung Min smiled. "Maybe it's because I'm trying to be kind. I help people even in small ways. And every time I do, I feel happy inside." Ooh, then nodded. That is the power of kindness. When you clean your heart with gratitude, you make space. When you fill that space with kindness, you make meaning. Kindness does not need big money or big plans. A smile, a kind word, a helping hand, these are enough. When you give, you receive peace. Aung Min thought for a moment. "Sir, before, I thought I had to win to be happy. Now I see that I can be happy by helping others win." The old man smiled. "Yes, my son. The world teaches us to compete. The heart teaches us to care. When you compete, you ask, how can I be better than others? When you care, you ask, how can I make life better for others? One question closes the heart, the other opens it." Aung Min nodded. The lesson felt clear and simple, like sunlight through clean glass. A few days later, he saw a little girl crying outside a stationery shop. Her pencil had broken, and she didn't have money to buy a new one. He opened his bag and gave her one of his own. She smiled through her tears and said, "Thank you, Ko Aung Min." That small smile stayed with him all day. That night, while writing in his notebook, he added new words. "Today, I learned that giving is also a kind of happiness." As days passed, his acts of kindness became natural. He didn't think, "I must do something good today." He simply followed his heart. When he saw someone in need, he helped. When someone was sad, he spoke softly. When someone made a mistake, he forgave quickly. People began to notice. His friends said, "Aung Min, you seem peaceful these days." He just smiled and said, "Maybe because I stopped fighting with myself." One evening, while walking home, he looked at the golden pagoda in the distance. The bells were ringing softly in the wind. He thought, "A heart full of kindness is like a bell. When the wind of life touches it, it makes a beautiful sound." But even as he felt this peace, a small voice inside whispered again, a voice he had not heard for some time. It said, "You are kind, but are you strong? What if you fail again? What if you're not good enough?" Aung Min stopped walking. The street was quiet, and the sound of that voice grew louder. It was not jealousy this time. It was fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough. He realized that even after cleaning away anger, jealousy, and selfishness, something still hid deep inside his heart. Self-doubt. That night, he couldn't sleep easily. He thought of all the times he had failed or made mistakes, the exam he didn't pass, the times people laughed at his accent when he spoke English. Those memories came back like dark clouds covering the stars. The next day, he went to meet Uthan again. "Sir," he said quietly, "I tried to clean my heart. I forgave. I stopped comparing. I tried to be kind, but still I feel afraid inside. I doubt myself." The old man looked at him with gentle eyes. "Ah, yes," he said softly. "You have cleaned the dust you could see, anger, jealousy, selfishness. But fear hides deeper, under everything. It is the stain that stays the longest." Aung Min listened carefully. "How can I clean that stain, sir?" Uthan smiled and said, That will be your next lesson, my son. To clean fear, you must learn courage, not the courage to fight others, but the courage to believe in yourself. Aung Min bowed his head respectfully. I'm ready to learn, sir. The old man smiled again. Good. Because once you clean away fear, your heart will shine brighter than ever. As Aung Min walked home that evening, he thought about the words again and again. The sunset painted the sky in deep gold and orange. The world felt calm, yet his heart knew another journey was beginning. He had learned that gratitude brings peace and kindness brings connection. But now he had to learn something even deeper: how to face the fear within and clean the final stain from his heart. And so, as the night came, Aung Min whispered to himself, "Tomorrow I will begin again. Tomorrow I will clean my fear." Self-doubt, the deep stain. The next week, Aung Min received a letter from the town office. It was an invitation for a new job, an assistant position at a small education center that helped children learn English. His teacher had recommended him after seeing his effort and kindness. When Aung Min first read the letter, his heart jumped with excitement. It was everything he had wished for: a chance to work, to teach, to grow. But as he kept reading, another feeling quietly entered his heart: fear. What if I'm not good enough? He thought. What if I make mistakes? What if they laugh at my English? He folded the letter and placed it on his table. For a long time, he just stared at it. All evening, his mind was noisy. The same doubts repeated again and again. He remembered moments when he had failed, the test he didn't pass, the time his pronunciation sounded wrong in front of others, the days when he felt small next to people who spoke better English. His body was still, but his thoughts ran wild. That night, he went to meet Yu Than at the tea shop. The old man greeted him with a smile. "You look like a man carrying two bags, one full of hope and one full of worry," he said softly. Aung Min sighed. "Sir, I got a letter today. It's a job offer at an English center. It's what I wanted, but—" He paused. "I don't think I'm ready." U Than looked at him for a moment, then asked gently, "Tell me, my son, what makes you think you're not ready?" "I'm afraid," Aung Min said. "Afraid I will fail. Afraid they will find out I'm not good enough." The old man nodded slowly. "Ah, fear, the deep stain. You have cleaned anger, jealousy, and selfishness, but fear hides under all of them. It tells you lies. It says you cannot, even when you can." Aung Min looked down. "I thought I had cleaned my heart, sir, but maybe it's still dirty." U Than smiled kindly. "No, my son. Cleaning the heart is not something you finish in one day. Fear is like a shadow. It appears when you move toward light. It's not there to stop you. It's there to show you that light exists." Aung Min listened carefully. "But how can I face it?" "By moving forward," U Than said simply. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move even when fear whispers in your ear." That night, Aung Min couldn't sleep. He lay awake, thinking about U Than's words. "The choice to move," he repeated softly. He realized that fear was like dust that settled quietly when he stopped trying. Maybe the only way to clean it was to take action. The next morning, he stood in front of the education center. His hands were cold, and his heart beat fast. The building was small but neat, with a blue sign that read, "Golden English Learning Center." He took a deep breath and stepped inside. A kind-looking woman greeted him. "You must be Aung Min. Welcome. We heard good things about you. Today, you can help us with the beginner class." His mouth felt dry, but he nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I'll do my best." When the class began, 10 children sat in front of him, eyes bright and curious. Aung Min opened his notebook and said softly, "Good morning." The children repeated, "Good morning, teacher." He smiled, a little surprised by the sound. As he started teaching, his hands shook slightly. He made a few small mistakes, mispronounced a word, dropped his chalk, forgot one sentence. Some of the older children giggled. For a second, shame rose inside him. His old thoughts returned. "See? You're not good enough." But then he remembered Yuthan's voice. "Fear is not there to stop you. It's there to show you the light." He took a deep breath, smiled, and continued. Instead of trying to be perfect, he tried to be kind. When a student made a mistake, he said, "That's okay. Try again." The children laughed, not at him, but with him. The lesson slowly turned fun. When the class ended, he was tired but happy. The children ran out, waving and saying, "Thank you, Teacher Aung Min." His heart filled with warmth. For the first time, he realized courage didn't mean being fearless. It meant doing the thing even while afraid. Over the next few weeks, Aung Min continued to teach. Some days were easy, some days hard. He still made mistakes, but he stopped hating them. Each mistake taught him something new. One day, he saw Udhan again at the tea shop. The old man smiled as always. "So, my brave teacher," he said, "how is your new journey?" Aung Min smiled shyly. "At first, I was scared. My voice shook, and my mind forgot words. But I kept going. Now, the children learn, and I learn too. I even laugh when I make mistakes." You then nodded proudly. "Good. Do you see, my son? Failure is not the end. It is part of the cleaning. Every mistake wipes away a little more fear. A person who never fails never grows. A clean heart does not mean a perfect heart. It means a brave heart." Aung Min looked thoughtful. "So, courage also cleans the heart?" "Yes," said Uthan. "When you choose courage, you tell fear, you cannot live here anymore. And slowly, your heart becomes clear again." Aung Min felt those words deep inside. He remembered the many times he had stopped himself before trying, because of fear, because of doubt. But now he saw that every step forward, no matter how small, was a kind of victory. That night, he wrote in his notebook again, "I am thankful for fear, because it taught me courage." He looked at the sentence and smiled. The boy who once compared himself to everyone else was now becoming someone new, calm, patient, and brave. One afternoon, while teaching, a small boy in his class raised his hand and said, "Teacher, I'm afraid to speak English. I make mistakes." Aung Min smiled kindly and said, "Do you know what my teacher once told me? Courage is not being fearless. It is speaking even when your voice shakes. So speak, and don't worry." The boy nodded and said a full sentence, a little broken but brave. The whole class clapped. Aung Min felt proud, not of himself, but of the boy's courage. He realized he had become a small version of Udhan, a guide helping others clean their hearts too. That evening, as the sun set, Aung Min sat quietly by the river. The golden light reflected on the water, calm and endless. He thought of his journey, from anger to forgiveness, from jealousy to gratitude, from selfishness to kindness, and now from fear to courage. He smiled and whispered, "I was afraid of falling, but I learned to walk through fear." Now I see. Courage is not loud. It is quiet, like the river. It keeps moving, even when the rocks are strong. The wind touched his face gently, and he closed his eyes. His heart was no longer heavy. It was clean, calm, and alive. But as peace filled his mind, another question began to form. Now that I am no longer afraid, what am I truly meant to do? He realized that courage had opened a new door, the door to purpose. And so, as the evening light faded, Aung Min stood up, ready to take his next step. The journey to find his real purpose had just begun. Purpose, seeing the clear reflection. After many weeks at the education center, Aung Min felt something new growing quietly inside him. It was not pride or excitement. It was calm. His fear was not gone completely, but it no longer controlled him. Each day, he stood in front of his students and felt a gentle joy, like the morning light touching his face. One afternoon, after class, he sat on the old wooden bench outside the school. The children's laughter echoed in the distance. He watched them run, jump, and call out English words they had just learned. He smiled. For the first time, he asked himself a question that he had never truly thought about before. What do I really want in life? For many years, he had wanted success. But now, that word felt different. What did success really mean? Was it money, fame, a big house? Aung Min closed his eyes and tried to imagine those things, but they didn't bring him peace. Then he thought of the children's happy faces, their proud voices saying, "Thank you, teacher." That image filled his heart with warmth. He whispered to himself, "Maybe success is not about being rich. Maybe it is about being useful." That evening he visited Yu Than again. The old man was sitting in his usual place at the tea shop, reading the newspaper. When he saw Aung Min, he smiled. "Ah, my young teacher. How is your heart today?" Aung Min laughed softly. "It feels clean, sir. Maybe not perfect, but clean enough to see what's inside." U Than folded his newspaper and leaned forward. "And what do you see, my son?" Aung Min looked thoughtful. "I see children learning, smiling, growing. When I help them, I feel happy. I think I've found what I truly want. Not to be rich, but to help others learn. When I teach, I feel alive." The old man nodded. That, Aung Min, is purpose. Purpose is the mirror that shows you your true reflection. Many people chase the world and lose themselves. But when you find purpose, you stop running. You walk with peace. Aung Min listened carefully. "Before, I always thought success was about reaching the top. Now I see it's about lifting others up." U Than smiled. "Exactly. The happiest hearts are not those who take the most, but those who give the most. A person with purpose does not need to prove anything. Their joy is quiet, but strong." As they sat there, a light breeze passed through the tea shop, carrying the smell of tea leaves and rain. Aung Min felt a deep peace, the kind that comes when the heart stops fighting. The next day, he arrived early at the center. He cleaned the classroom, arranged the chairs, and wrote new English words on the board. When the children came in, they cheered, "Good morning, Teacher Aung Min." Their energy filled the room. He began the lesson with a smile. He taught them a new sentence. "I can learn. I can grow." The children repeated the words loudly, their voices bright and full of life. As they spoke, Aung Min realized those words were not only for them, they were for him too. Every time one of his students learned something new, Aung Min felt as if he had learned too. teaching English became more than a job. It became a way to share kindness, courage, and hope. He saw how a single encouraging word could change a child's day. When one student said, "Teacher, I can't do it," Aung Min would smile and say, "Try again. I believe in you." And when the child succeeded, the smile on their face was worth more than gold. In the evenings, he still wrote in his notebook. But now, his gratitude list looked different. It was no longer only about what he received. It was also about what he gave. He wrote, "I am thankful for the children's laughter. I am thankful for the chance to share what I know. I am thankful for the joy that comes from helping others." One evening, after class, the head teacher at the center called him into the office. "Aung Min," she said kindly, "the parents of your students say their children love English now. They say you teach with heart. I'm happy to tell you, we want to make you a full-time teacher." Aung Min was surprised. His eyes widened. "Full-time? Me?" She nodded with a smile. "Yes, you've earned it." He thanked her deeply, but as he walked home that night, he didn't feel the excitement he once imagined success would bring. He felt something gentler: gratitude, humility, and peace. He knew that this opportunity was not a prize for being perfect. It was a reward for being true to his purpose. When he told U Then the news, the old man smiled proudly. "See, my son? When your heart is clean, good things come naturally. You do not need to chase them. They find you." Aung Min nodded. "You were right, sir. All this time I was running after success, but now I see that success was quietly waiting for me, behind gratitude, kindness, and courage." U then laughed softly. "Life is funny that way. When we stop chasing the wind, we begin to feel the breeze." From that day, Aung Min continued to teach with love and patience. He didn't count how much he earned. He counted how many smiles he could create. He didn't worry about what others thought. He focused on what he could give. His students improved quickly because they felt safe to make mistakes, just like he had learned to do. Sometimes, at the end of class, he would tell them, "Don't be afraid to fail. Every mistake is a step. Every small effort is progress. Keep your heart clean and your mind open." The children nodded seriously, not knowing that their teacher was teaching them lessons from his own journey. Months passed, and Aung Min's name became known in the community. People said, "He is a good teacher, not only because he teaches English, but because he teaches kindness." But Aung Min didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a mirror, reflecting the lessons he had received from U Then. Every time he helped someone, he remembered the words, "Before you chase success, clean your heart." One quiet evening, he visited the river again. The water reflected the orange light of sunset. He saw his face on the surface, calm, clear, and strong. For the first time, he truly saw himself, not the boy who wanted to be the best, but the man who wanted to be useful. He whispered, "This is who I am. This is what I was meant to do." The wind blew softly, and he smiled. He felt no rush, no fear, no jealousy, only purpose. His reflection in the water was steady, clear, and bright, but as he sat there, he heard U Than's words again in his mind. "When your heart is clean, good things will follow." He realized his story was not over. Life still had more lessons to teach. Now that he had found his purpose, it was time for something new. The natural success that comes when you live with a clean and open heart. And so, Aung Min stood up, ready for whatever came next, not to chase success, but to welcome it. Success follows the clean heart. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Life began to flow smoothly for Aung Min, like a calm river after a long storm. He no longer chased success. Instead, he walked with it. His heart was clean, his mind was peaceful, and his steps were steady. Every morning, when he opened the classroom door, he felt joy, the simple, quiet kind that stays with you all day. He taught his students with patience and kindness. When they made mistakes, he didn't raise his voice. He smiled and said, "Let's try again." The children loved him not because he was perfect, but because he was gentle. His calm made them brave. They knew they could fail and still be loved. Soon, parents began to visit the school. They said, "Our children enjoy learning now. They practice English at home. They say, 'Teacher Aung Min believes in me.'" Their words made Aung Min's heart warm. He realized that true success wasn't loud. It didn't need to shout or show off. True success was quiet. It spoke through peace, through kindness, through the happiness of others. His co-workers also noticed the change. One teacher said, "You always look so calm, Aung Min. Don't you ever get tired?" He smiled and replied, "I used to. But now I work with peace, not pressure. When your heart is light, your work feels light too." Before, Aung Min used to stay awake at night, worrying about the future. Now, he slept easily. He didn't need to prove himself to anyone. He didn't need to compare or compete. He simply did his best every day and trusted that it was enough. His smile grew softer, his words kinder, and his energy peaceful. Even the children felt it. One afternoon, a little girl said, "Teacher, when you smile, I feel happy too." Aung Min laughed gently. "That's because happiness grows when we share it," he said. He didn't realize it, but his calm spirit had become like a lamp. It shone quietly, and people around him felt its light. One weekend, he visited Uthan again. The old man was sitting by the tea shop as usual, a cup of tea in one hand and a peaceful look in his eyes. When he saw Aung Min, he smiled widely. "Ah, my son, you look different, brighter." Aung Min bowed respectfully. "Sir, my work is going well. I feel happy and free. The students learn quickly. The people around me are kind. Sometimes I think, is this really my life?" "Yes, my son. This is the life that follows a clean heart. You no longer chase success. It walks beside you. Your heart shines now, and so your path shines too." Aung Min listened carefully. "Before, I thought success came from running faster than others. Now I see it comes from walking steadily with peace." The old man smiled. "Exactly. Forced success is like climbing a steep mountain while carrying a heavy bag. Natural success is like walking through a garden. Your steps are light and the beauty grows around you. You no longer fight for success. You live in harmony with it." They sat quietly for a while, listening to the sound of rain beginning to fall. The smell of wet earth filled the air. Uthan took a sip of his tea and said softly, "You see, Aung Min, when the heart is clean, it attracts good things, good people, good work, good peace. The world outside is a reflection of the heart inside." Aung Min nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. I used to think success meant reaching the top. Now I see it means reaching inside, finding calm, love, and purpose." The old man smiled again. "And that is why you are finally free." Later that day, As Aung Min walked home through the rain, he thought about those words. The road was muddy, but he didn't hurry. The rain touched his face softly, and he smiled. He realized he didn't fear getting wet anymore. The rain reminded him of his journey, how each drop had cleaned his heart a little at a time. When he reached home, his mother said, "My son, you work so much, but you never look tired. How do you do it?" Aung Min hugged her and said, "Because I work with peace, Ma. My heart is clean now." That night he sat by the window and looked at the quiet sky. The stars shone brightly, and the world felt still. He thought about the long path he had walked, from jealousy to gratitude, from fear to courage, from confusion to clarity. Every lesson had washed away another layer of dust. He opened his old notebook, the one filled with gratitude and lessons, and wrote, "Success came when I stopped chasing it. When my heart became calm, my world became clear." He closed the notebook slowly and placed it beside his bed. The air was cool, and a gentle wind passed through the window. He smiled to himself. The next morning he returned to the school early. The sun was rising, painting the sky gold. He watched the light spread over the roofs and trees, over the streets and houses. It reminded him of U Thant's words, "Your heart shines, now your path shines too." At school, the students gathered around him. "Teacher! Teacher!" they called, waving their notebooks. They wanted to show their English sentences. As he helped each one, he realized that their growth was his greatest reward. He was no longer the boy who wanted to prove himself. He was now a man who helped others believe in themselves. His success was not measured in money or fame, but in the smiles he saw every day. Sometimes, when he passed by the mirror in the classroom, he looked at his reflection and remembered the lesson that had started everything. When the mirror is dirty, you cannot see clearly. Now, when he looked into that mirror, he saw his reflection clearly, calm eyes, a soft smile, a peaceful heart. The mirror was clean. Later that evening, he went to visit U Then one last time. The old man was sitting outside his home, watching the sunset. Aung Min bowed deeply and said, "Thank you, sir. You taught me how to clean my heart. Because of you, I found peace." U Then smiled warmly. "No, my son. You cleaned it yourself. I only gave you a cloth. Remember this, the heart is like a mirror. Dust will always come again, but as long as you know how to clean it, you will never lose your light." Aung Min bowed again. "I will remember, sir." As he walked away, the sky glowed in shades of orange and gold. He felt grateful for every lesson, every mistake, and every act of kindness that brought him here. His journey had taught him the greatest truth of all, that when your heart is clean, success follows naturally. And as the sun disappeared beyond the hills, Aung Min whispered softly, "Thank you, life. My heart is clean." The world was quiet. His reflection, both in the river and in his soul, was finally clear. But as the story of Aung Min neared its end, a new chapter was about to begin, not just for him, but for everyone listening. Because now it was time to turn toward you, the listener, and ask the same question that changed everything. When was the last time you cleaned your heart? Final reflection. Your heart is your home. Dear listener, dear learner, before we finish this story, take a deep breath. You have listened, learned, and walked beside Aung Min through his journey. But this is not only his story, it is also yours. This story has been both English practice and life practice. Every word you read, every sentence you understood was not just a lesson in language, it was a lesson in living. You learned that before we chase dreams, before we seek success, we must look inside. Because your heart is not just a part of you, your heart is your home. So, let's ask quietly, how is your heart today? Is it full of peace or full of noise? Is it clean and light or heavy with old dust, anger, jealousy, regret, fear? Remember, the outside world is only a mirror. When your heart is calm, life feels calm. When your heart is full of kindness, the world looks kind. In Aung Min's story, you saw how he cleaned his heart little by little, forgiving others, feeling thankful, showing kindness, and facing fear. None of these steps were easy, but each one made his heart lighter. And when his heart became light, his life became bright. Now, think about yourself. Who do you need to forgive today? Maybe someone from your past, a friend, a teacher, a family member, or even yourself. Forgive them gently. Forgiveness does not say, "It was okay." It says, "I will not carry this pain anymore." It frees you. Then ask yourself, what can I be thankful for today? Look around, your family, your food, your ability to learn, even this moment you spend improving your English. Gratitude turns ordinary days into peaceful days. It reminds you that life is already giving you many small gifts. And what about kindness? How can you share your light with someone else? Maybe a kind word to a friend. Maybe helping someone at school or work. Maybe just smiling at a stranger. Each small act of kindness cleans another corner of your heart. You don't need to be rich, famous, or perfect to have a clean heart. You only need to be honest with yourself. A clean heart is not one that never gets dirty. It's one that remembers to wash the dust away again and again. Think about the contrast, the old self versus the new self. The old self carried anger, jealousy, and fear. It was heavy, tired, and lost. The new self forgives, thanks, and gives. It is light, peaceful, and alive. Which one do you want to be? The truth is, life will always bring some dust. People will hurt you. Things will go wrong. You will make mistakes. But if you keep cleaning your heart with forgiveness, gratitude, and kindness, the light inside you will never fade. Every morning, when you wake up, you can start fresh. You can say, "Today, I will keep my heart clean." And every night, before you sleep, you can look back and whisper, "Thank you." That small habit can change your entire life. And remember, learning English is also a journey of the heart. You make mistakes. You feel shy. Sometimes you compare yourself with others. But that's okay. Every time you keep going, you clean a little more fear away. Every word you learn is a small act of courage. So, as you continue learning English through stories like this, remember Aung Min's lesson. Clean your heart before you chase success. When your heart is light, your mind learns faster. When your mind is peaceful, your dreams grow bigger. And when your dreams are guided by kindness, they always lead you in the right direction. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your heart as a home. Is it dark or full of light? Is it full of noise, or is it quiet and warm? Every day, you have the power to open the windows, let fresh air in, and clean one corner at a time. Your heart is where peace begins. Your heart is where love lives. Your heart is your true home. So, keep it clean, keep it kind, keep it open, and as you go forward, Remember this simple call to action, the message of this whole story. Keep your heart clean, your dreams alive, and your English growing, one story at a time. If this story touched you, take it with you. Think about it when life feels hard. Share it with someone who needs light. Let it remind you that even in a busy world, peace always begins within. Thank you for listening, for reading, and for learning. You have not just practiced English, you have practiced peace. Now, take a moment, smile softly, and say to yourself, "My heart is my home, and today it is clean." And with that gentle thought, we end this story. May your heart stay light, your path stay bright, and may we meet again in the next story. Another lesson, another chance to grow, another way to keep your English and your spirit shining.